My work isn't only having to do with deaf people. It's much broader than that. I mean, I do have a strong emphasis on deaf arts and expressions, but when I make something, when I create something, or when I want to express something, it's not that it's only for deaf people. It's for everyone. My name is Leon Lim. I'm from Malaysia, which is located in southern Asia. I was born deaf, and all of my family members are hearing, but I didn't really know I was deaf until I was probably 14. When I was a kid, not being able to hear, I would really key into different pictures in books and stuff, and I think that's what really sparked my love for art. Around elementary school, I'd always have to go to my dad's office. And a lot of times it wasn't a lot of fun to be there because, my dad was working. But at a neighboring office, they had, books and CDs and DVDs. And I would go there and look at the books and through the CDs and everything. They had words, but I couldn't read. No one had taught me how to read. I was just looking at the pictures. One time the salesman, the business owner, came over and said, "You can't hear. Why would you want to buy this DVD or CD?" Say, "Well, I just wanted to look at the picture. The covers on them are fascinating." And that kind of inspired me to become more of an artist. I guess that was the start of it. Leonardo da Vinci. I think because in his work, there isn't any explanation. It's very analytical. One of my favorite works is The Last Supper. And that's just an amazing work because it's got so many layers, so much depth to it. You see that God is in the middle, and you see all the different expressions of the people on either side of him. And throughout history, people have assumed that they're all men, but it's not necessarily true. There could be a woman there as one. And then you see how there's the shapes that the people make. They're V shapes. And how in the composition he has right in the very middle, because of the way he's incorporated the shapes of the bodies and everything, it makes this V shape. There's no written meanings for it or anything. It's almost like it's a code, and I really like that. My favorite, I think, are the red and the blue of these pieces. Though I had a big challenge working on this piece. There was a lot of mechanics involved in the woodworking and the glass. The blue and the red is something I could focus on, and I like doing that very much. I start out by making frames, and then take some canvas and stretch that over it, and paint it over with this white gesso and leave that to dry. Then while that's drying, I'll get different newspaper, magazine articles and rip those out and scrunch them all up and put them into some sort of jar with water in it. I'll have one for blue and one for the red. So I'll get those going. Then I'll get some glue and add that to the mixture and let that soak for a couple of days. Then I'll take those out and place them on the canvas. And it's real easy to do because they're, being soaked, and lay those out. Then let those dry for a couple of days till they're really good and dry. Then once that's done, then I'll stand them up on end, and with one, say the red, I'll start with a very dark red and take just one drip and let that drip down and let it go. And leave that for an entire day. Let it dry, and then the next day add in a next drip and keep going like that for a couple of days. So you don't want to have all the drips done on one day. You want to make sure that one is dry before you put on the next one because you don't want them to blend together. So you just let them take their course. It doesn't matter if they, go off to one side or a little bit, but it's just one day per line. A lot of times you get inspiration from nature or the environment, Sometimes you just see something that strikes you and you'll start that out for your theme. And then you kind of start to draw a little bit and sketch, make a decision on what you want to go with, and then start it from there. For me, I believe that art starts from what's going on inside. I mean, there's a relationship between what goes on inside of you and the outside world. And when you have that connection, that sense that you want to share with people, that's my artistic philosophy. With this, it took almost 3 months, just for the glass piece. This was a huge challenge. It was a group project where 4 people were working together. And the most challenging part about it was because I was working with hearing people. I was the only deaf person there. So communication was a real issue. I had to depend on maybe just a little bit of facial expression or body language. They would try and understand what I would say, and I would try and understand what they would say, through body language and gestures. It was much harder. If we were all hearing people, they'd be able just to talk to each other. So this was a real challenge. Don't just dream, do your dream. What I mean is, a lot of times people will dream something but never do anything about it. The dream is there, so do something, not just leave it there. So, it's kind of a reversal on, not just following your dreams. A lot of times people, will just dream something but never do it. So I think the dreaming and the doing is the important